I'm looking at a weird one today. When chess and XCOM meet with Games Workshop's license, you get Warhammer 40,000 Regicide. Will it just be battle chess with a facelift? Or is it maybe something greater? Let's find out. The story here is pretty threadbare, and definitely the weakest part of the game. You command the Blood Angels chapter of Space Marines in a crusade against the Orcs, and each mission simply serves as a means to introduce a new piece or mechanic to the game. It's functional, but I can't remember any characters or events as I'm recording this. That aside, each mission is introduced with a fully voiced dialogue exchange between multiple characters, and the voice acting is hammy and charismatic, with some familiar voices for anyone who's played the Dawn of War games. What's kind of funny is seeing how developer Hammerfall Publishing dances around calling the game chess. The Steam page refers to it as, quote, a brutal take on one of the greatest turn-based strategy games of all time, unquote, with any mentions of chess being buried further down the page behind the Read More tab. Chess is only where this game starts though. Your units have the same movement as their respective chess pieces, but you get a number of action points to spend every turn or save between turns that can be used on shooting attacks, psychic powers, assaults, and more. The interesting wrinkle here is that if a piece takes another in a classic chess move, they instantly kill that unit. It's also not necessarily balanced like chess either. Some scenarios you might only get a handful of pawns or some knights, pawns, and a bishop against a similarly disparate group of enemy pieces. This means every scenario is handcrafted, and the developers were able to design each one around the limited movement and abilities of the pieces. These are further reinforced by bonus objectives, like beating a mission without losing a piece, or capturing all the enemies as opposed to killing them with attacks. The first chapter or so is pretty simple, but the later missions will start to test your tactical acumen. The missions start shifting over from easy missions to fairly simple scenarios with some more difficult bonus objectives, to ones where you might find yourself losing a few times before getting the hang of the mission. Unfortunately, I had one mission get stuck on the AI's turn when I had his weird boy in check, so I had to restart the mission, but other than that, I didn't have any technical issues. The AI pulled some pretty dumb moves, often leaving his pieces wide open for a capture, but it would occasionally try and bait me into a trap. There's also that XCOM-esque RNG that will see you fail 60% attacks in a turn only for the orcs to completely wreck you in response, but I don't know how much of that is confirmation bias and how much of that is just calculations behind the scenes. There is allegedly online multiplayer for this game, but finding a game is impossible. I've tried looking for one a few times, but never came up with anything. I imagine it'd be a decent time, as testing your strategic mettle against other players in XCOM always made for a tense experience. Similar to XCOM, and given its pedigree as a chess game, this would also be a pretty easy game to play on a chessboard with your own miniatures and a couple d6s. That may actually be your best bet at getting a multiplayer game of Regicide given its online matchmaking. It's worth noting that it does have local multiplayer though, so at least that's an option. The thing that confuses me most about this game is that it's actually pretty freaking gorgeous. The textures, models, and motion capture animations for all the units are really good. Why does a chess game look this pretty? Why is there this much detail in everything? Why is the soundtrack actually pretty good? Who are Hammerfall Publishing and where did they come from? There's a lot of questions I have about this game, but the finished product I got to play looks and feels like a Warhammer game should. You've got a cast of voice actors almost entirely returning from the Dawn of War games, often spouting lines lifted straight from Relic's RTSs, and they're every bit as hammy and energetic as you'd hope. I looked into the game a bit, and it turns out the game's writer also worked at GW back in the day, and also worked on the Fantasy Flight Games Workshop RPGs, which gives the game's writing a pedigree that I wouldn't expect from Battle Chess 40,000. So in short, you've got a game that looks great, has some characterful and energetic voice acting, set against a serviceable Hans Zimmer-esque soundtrack. Chess can be a fairly dry game, so all this dressing around it makes it feel like part of the 40k universe and not just a reskinning. So I've got to say, I actually like this game. It's an odd mix of mechanics that at times feels like it shouldn't work, but it does. Part of me still wonders why this exists, like it just feels like it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's not going to get any new players into the game like Dawn of War or Space Marine did, as chess isn't the sexiest sales tool. While I couldn't test the multiplayer, there's a fairly meaty campaign that'll test you for about 10 hours, as well as classic chess and skirmish games you can play separately. The core gameplay is solid and the overall package is charmingly presented. you could do far worse than Regicide, and it's the perfect game to pick up on a sale and jump into during your lunch break. At the very least, you'll have some great attack animations to watch, and if watching Librarian explode orcs with mind bullets doesn't sell you this game, I don't know what will. Thanks for watching my Regicide review. I like this weird gem, and I'd love to hear from anyone else who's played it, as it seems pretty out there. Hit subscribe if you like, and if you really want to help me out, you can support me on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the chessboard.